Rod, welcome to the Business Advisory Show. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me on, John.
The Business Advisory Show, I think accountants and bookkeepers really need to learn a lot more about Tanda and what you do for certain industries, which I really think is actually a game changer. And that's probably why the business is growing so fast. You know, it's no longer just Australia-based too.
No,
right?
we can't get away with calling ourselves a startup anymore or anything like that. So we're here talking to accountants and bookkeepers, and there's a couple of things that they really like the most, but the most topical one is our award calculations. I mean, it's very much in the news at the moment. People having issues with how they pay staff. You're nodding, you know, I don't need to name prominent cases, but this is something that people are very concerned about, and it's not malicious non-compliance, it's non-compliance that they might not be aware of. So
Naive.
Yeah, just not sure. And awards are complex in Australia. They're very complex. There's lots and lots of rules. So what we've done at Tanda is we've built all those rules for a number of different awards and industries, whether it's hospitality, health, GPs, retail, and we give them those tools so that when their staff clock in and out, Tanda's already calculating exactly how they should be paid and helping them pay their staff correctly.
Yeah, and this is something that if you're a traditional compliance-driven bookkeeper or an accountant, you may not realise just how powerful this can be as an advisory strategy for the accounting firm or bookkeeping firm.
Yep.
It's just to understand a little about this product. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first step, or the first thing people think about is, you know, not getting sued and keeping their ass out of jail. But there's so many other applications of having the power of that calculator behind the scenes. So a lot of overtime payments that people make are ones that they could have avoided with better planning. They didn't realise that if Johnny worked past 9 o'clock last night and he started before 10, you know, they hadn't seen that in the roster, and they're going to trigger an overtime clause, and that's, before they know it, that's cost them a couple of $100 that they weren't aware of. So there's heaps of other applications of having the power in that tool. If your manager is looking at a shift swap and an 18-year-old might have given away the shift and another 18-year-old's put up their hand for their shift, but also a 25-year-old's put up their hand for a shift, what are the different shifts going to cost? Has that 18-year-old already worked 38 hours? Are they going to get paid double time? We put that information right into the manager's hands so they can make better decisions.
So real-time decisions on the fly, basically on an inflow of data and insight, rather than in hindsight looking through the rearview mirror saying, oh shit, we screwed up another, we've run overs again.
Exactly. I mean, most businesses are waiting till the end of the month and they're looking back and they can't change it then. So let's give them this information before the shift, or even during or on the shift, so that they can actually make decisions, and so that they're not looking at the end of the month going, exactly like you say, oh, we've run overs again, you know, we'll have to do this. Well, let's cut that out. Let's give them the ability to do that. Yeah,
and this is a really important insight, because I know no more about the detail of your product than any other accountant sitting there for the first time. You know, I sat in on the detailed demo yesterday.
Yep.
But business advisory isn't about being an absolute expert on a knowledge base on every single app out there, is it? It's really actually knowing the key value drivers of a particular offering and just being able to mention those to your client.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we at Tanda, we don't try and do every single service and every that's out there anyway, because it's just too big and too hard. We focus on workforce management, and that's where we think that we're really, really good, and we specialise in that. And if you want a POS system or a reporting system, you go elsewhere. Yeah.
So this is really interesting for those accountants and bookkeepers out there that want to move into business advisory. You're going to have clients in all sorts of different hospitality genres and or flexible workforce genres as well. It's not just hospitality, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, hospitality is a big industry for us, but our second biggest industry is health. So whether it's GP clinic, whether it's a day surgery, whether it's a hospital, there's lots of overtime and to be avoided. There's rostering issues galore. So health is our second biggest industry, and then retail, childcare, anywhere where you're paying people by the hour and you need the power of that calculation of your roster. That's where we fit.
Oh, by the way, I've got a referral for you, $10 million childcare group and an accountant in Queensland. So we'll talk about that later.
Righto, excellent.
Yeah.
I'll stop in when I go back to Queensland.
That's it. But this is the amazing thing about business advisory. Accountants and bookkeepers put way too much pressure on themselves. Their lack of self-confidence. Why have I been handed 5,000 SMEs in 5 or 6 countries over 27 years by accountants when, quite frankly, they could replace me, right? It's because that they don't understand that the expert resource and organisation is actually not having to be themselves or myself. It's actually there, plug and play when needed.
Yeah, sitting above that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, look. I come from a financial services background, and we worked in a business which had financial advisory, accountants, and we had specialists in all those areas. And it was, it's difficult even then to talk across that, and we needed to bring in people who were specialists in different parts and different fields just within that industry. So, yeah.
Could we cut a couple of information-based webinars that maybe our accountants and bookkeepers could use, almost like repackage it and flick it out to their clients as an interest-creating sort of awareness campaign?
Absolutely. I think there's some really, really key moments, some light bulb moments when you're looking at the product and looking at Tanda, and people see how something works and they go, I get it. That makes sense. I can see how that can help my business save money, make money, or just engage the staff better and have better staff on the front line. That's a really important thing for us, because the people that are working for you are they're your front line to your client base. So having them as engaged and as passionate about your business as possible is really important.
Now, this is a real missing link for a lot of accountants and bookkeepers out there. They don't actually understand if they simply have a value proposition, and this is one that can save a client money, right? I can save you money as an accountant or a bookkeeper. That's way more valuable than I can get your tax done or get you compliant for your BAS.
Well, that's what businesses are looking for, right? Like, if someone turns up to you, John, and says that, I can definitely save you money, here's how, you're going to listen, aren't you?
Yeah, you got my attention until you proved yourself wrong, right? Yeah.
well, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Rod, that's been fantastic today. Thanks for sharing, and
No worries.
we'll get you to help us with the webinar, and we'll get something out there soon.
Look forward to it. Thanks a lot, John. Cheers.